Start. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bhante bhuri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipana anuttara sadhu sa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripunang panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nacha Gita Wadita Visuka Dasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanathana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magga pala nyanasa Pachayo hotu appamadena sampadeta. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, let us do some guided mudita before we start the talk. So relax here. Let go of all the vipassana objects. Just keep the mind in the present. Keep the mind calm and peaceful, yet alert and present. Let the body relax. Any tension, fatigue, we let it all go. From top of the head to the forehead, to the face, the legs, to the neck and shoulders, to the arms, chest, the stomach area, to the back and spine, to the hips and thighs, down the knees and calves and ankles, soles, toes. So relax the whole body. Now let us recall. Let us recall some wholesome activities like dana or service that we offered or rendered in the past. So when we remember them, they give rise to happiness, joy. That is the nature of the mudita. Whatever material gains I've accumulated in the past, or in the present or future, may all these gains do not disappear, do not fade away. May all my gains able to increase for my happiness, for my joy, for my welfare, for my well-being. May all my spiritual gains accumulated from the past present or future, may all my gains do not disappear. May all my gains able to increase. May all my gains give rise to happiness, give rise to spiritual development. May all my gains do not disappear. May all my gains do not fade away. Let us expand. Let us expand our mudita to all the beings around here, monks or nuns, fellow yogis, to the volunteers, helpers, workers, donors or supporters, to all the guardian devas of the sasana, to all the guardian devas of this center, to all other devas residing around here, to all the petas and to all the animals, seen or unseen, big or small. May all of us here whatever spiritual, whatever material accumulations from the past, present or future, may all these gains, may all their gains do not disappear. May all their gains do not diminish, do not fade away. May all their material gains give them happiness, give them joy, for their welfare, for their well-being. May all their spiritual accumulations from the past, present or future, may all these gains do not disappear, do not fade away. May all their gains able to increase for their happiness and welfare and for their spiritual development. May all their gains do not fade away, do not disappear. Now let us expand. Let us expand this joy towards all the beings in this world, all the beings in this country. All the beings in this country, whether they are humans, male or female, humans or non-humans, betas or devas, animals big, small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all of them, whatever material gains from the past, present or future, may all these gains do not disappear, do not fade away. May all these gains give rise to their happiness, to joy, give them welfare, give them well-being. May all their spiritual gains from the past, present or future, may all their gains do not disappear. May all their gains do not fade away. May all their gains able to increase for their happiness, for their welfare, for their well-being, for their spiritual development. May all their gains do not disappear. May all their gains do not disappear. Now let us expand. Let us expand the mudita to all the beings in this world. May they be humans, our loved ones near or far away, or to those people whom we do not know wherever they are, or to those whom we dislike or those who dislike us. To all the devas, to all the guardian devas of the Buddha Sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, to all the petas, and to all the animals, big, small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all their material gains from the past, present or future, may all their gains do not disappear. May all their gains do not fade away. May all their gains do not diminish. May all their material gains able to increase and give them happiness, give them joy, give them welfare, give them well-being. May all their spiritual gains from the past, present or future, may all their gains do not disappear. May all their gains do not fade away. May all their gains able to increase for their happiness, for their welfare, for their spiritual growth. May all beings in this world able to live happily with oneself and others, and not in jealousy or envy. May all their gains, may all their gains able to increase and not disappear. Now let us expand. Let us reach out the joy to all beings without exception, to all beings from this universe or universes, all beings from the highest planes of existence down to the lowest plane of existence, and all beings from all the world systems. Whatever material gains from the past, present or future, may all their gains do not disappear, do not fade away. May all their gains able to increase for their happiness, for their joy, for their welfare, for their well-being. May all their spiritual gains from the past, present or future, may all their gains able to increase and not disappear, not fade away, not diminished. May they all able to enjoy their gains and give them happiness and welfare, well-being, and may all their spiritual development able to increase. All beings without exception. May whatever gains they accumulated, past, present, or future, may all their gains give them happiness, give them joy, give them spiritual development. Slowly we let go. Let go of the mudita. We bring the mind back to the present moment. Feel the rise and fall of the abdomen. Feel the whole body. Then we can slowly open our eyes. All right. So, before we start the talk, I think some of you are going back tomorrow. Okay. Now, since you are here, I think yesterday, just to let you know, wearing mask. The government says that if you are indoor, wearing mask is an option right now, not compulsory. But it's compulsory if you are still in a public transport, in a hospital, or if you are coughing. Yeah. More or less, I think if you are in a crowded area, lack of ventilation right now, then it'll be good. Yeah. So tomorrow, if some of you going back and you don't see any people wear masks, don't like get too shocked. Okay. Right. Let me see. Okay, let's get back to the talk. So on Tuesday, I was talking about the balancing of the faculties, balancing of the concentration. Balancing of the concentration here, usually we talk about balancing between effort and concentration, these two. And then if you are balanced between wisdom and faith or saddha. And mindfulness stands alone usually. If you are talking from the perspective of 5 controlling faculties, pancha indriya, pachindriya. Now, in the process of doing this meditation, the balancing can be, we can expand it wider, in the sense that when, let's say, concentration become too much, then it's always important to arouse not just only the effort, but make sure the mindfulness comes together with the effort. That is crucial. If not, sometimes from over concentration, then if you try to overcome the over concentration, you try to balance the over concentration by increasing the effort. Sometimes you increase the effort without the mindfulness following, then it goes to another extreme. Too much effort. Then you have to deal with the too much effort. Yeah. So it's always the mindfulness, it's really important. Yeah. So when the mindfulness comes in, usually everything becomes balanced. Yeah. So when we do that, when we know how to learn to balance them, then more or less when we go into a long retreat, that's about as it's about arouse. Yes, it's all about balancing on it. Yeah, it's all about balancing on it actually. To keep everything in, to keep the whole noting mind in balance. Because when the mind is in optimum level, that means it's in a balanced level, all your objects become clear to you. It changes whatever that's going on, pain, everything become clear to you. It's only when it is not in balance, that means it may be affected by hindrances. It may affected because of the faculties are not in a state of balance. Then we have to overcome those things and to bring the mind back into optimum level. And when it's in optimum level, your objects become clear, then the mind progress, then the spiritual development progress. Yeah. So we more or less in the long retreat, this is one skill that a yogi can able to improve. It's only in the long retreat that balancing qualities of learning to balance are refining the noting, then it comes into play. In the story, not in the story, the Buddha gave the simile of the lute, like a the old traditional Indian type of, they call it the sitar, or the lute, or whichever. String, like a guitar like that. You put it on the floor. You put it too tight, then the sound is distorted. You put it too loose, then the sound is distorted. You tune it just right, then the sound come up will be perfect. So too in the development of vipassana, the balancing is really important. Actually, not only in vipassana, but also when you are doing samatha meditation, the balancing also, it's really important, because you cannot have like too much concentration or too much effort. Because it's too much effort, whether you are doing samatha or vipassana, there'll be too much thinking also, or too much agitation of the mind coming up. If you have too much concentration, then the whole mind becomes quiet and dull and just peaceful and nothing much. Then samatha also you don't progress. So whether samatha or vipassana, is always you need that balanced state of mind in order for us to progress. Therefore, in order for balance to come in, mindfulness has to come in. So the more mindfulness that you have, the more able to balance it. So in other words, in samatha also, you need a lot of mindfulness. You cannot neglect mindfulness. Yeah. So the mindfulness is a very crucial factor to able to keep the mind in balance. Actually, what mindfulness do when it comes to imbalance, it knows that the mind is in balance. It's aware that the mind is in balance. If not, there must be something to aware that you are going in balance already, right? It's not the job of mindfulness. It's not the job of concentration or effort or whatever. It's the job of mindfulness. You know that you are getting too much already. Because it happens in the present moment, the mind aware of it, the noting mind aware of the states of mind, then that is the job of mindfulness. Too much it knows, too little it knows. Ngam also it knows. But the one that keep it balanced, but the thing that keep it balanced is actually the equanimity. You see, the mindfulness is the one who knows what is going on. It knows what happened in the present. But to keep things balanced is the next factor of enlightenment, which is equanimity, which we are not touching that yet. But just to give you a brief, what is going on is that when things are going well, things are going smoothly, all you need to do is to keep the noting mind going well. That means everything comes into a balance. That means equanimity is there. It keeps everything in balance. So these are some of the. This is what is happening. When you talk about especially the balancing. Now, when we talk about balancing also, a yogi also have to know what are the signs that when a mind goes into imbalance. What are the signs that all these imbalances are coming into during the meditation, whether walking or sitting? Because this imbalances of the mind, imbalances of all these mental faculties, all yogis will have to go through one way or another, more or less. Every yogi, you see, this type of imbalances is, of course, is due to the nature of the mind. And the nature of the mind is always impermanent. It's not going to be all the time same. It's not going to be your mindfulness, it's not going to be there all the time. In other words, the whole thing is going to fluctuate here and there. So it is all the skill of the yogi to know when to push it, when to reduce it, when to keep it steady. So all these things has to come with sitting, walking, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, or year in, year out. Until you are so sure. This area of balancing, this area of balancing is a wide area, is a big area that all yogis have got to learn the skills of how to do this balancing. As much as I mentioned many times in other retreats, I say that a yogi must have at least the three types of skills. The first skill is learning to arouse all the qualities of the mind. That means arouse the mindfulness, arouse the concentration, arouse the effort. All this type of arousing is come with where you do your walking, you do your sitting, and you do your daily activities. That is how you keep on arousing day after day, day after day. It's a skill. How to do the walking is a skill. How to do the sitting is a skill. How to do the daily activities, they are also skills. Right? You just anyone without understanding how to do, they will not able to do it. It needs to be taught. That means it needs to be taught, you need to train it. That means you need to repeat it again and again. So mindfulness, clarity of the mind, sharpness, detailedness of the mind, it starts to build up. So that is a big area, is a skill. The second area of the thing that you have to master also is where you learn to deal with your hindrances or your agitation of your mind, including sleepiness also. So the 5 hindrances is like another big area, because these are the defilements that come into uh, uh, overrun your meditation, to cause disruption in your meditation. So that also you must learn how to deal with them. Because if you don't learn how to deal with them, this is the one area also yogis tend to give up on vipassana, because it's so strong, these defilements. And the first one is easier in the sense that you have to learn. And some people, of course, if they are lazy, the first even how to do walking, sitting, if they are lazy, then of course there's nothing much. Then when there's nothing, no progress, then the faith is shaken. When the faith is shaken, then you give up on the practice. Even if you come into when you also look into the 5 hindrances, also the same thing. If you keep on bombarding by all these hindrances, so much thinking, so much sleepiness, day in, day out, so much thinking. After that, when your progress is not going well, confidence also starts to be shaken. Once that is shaken, you feel like you want to give up on the practice. When it becomes strong, it becomes real. Yes, you actually give up on the practice. Yeah? And the third one is where you learn about the balancing of the faculties. Now, the balancing of the faculties, when it comes into week after week, when you are in a retreat, this is where you keep on doing it again and again. Day in, day out, day in, day out. Your mindfulness, your effort, your concentration, and all the faculties of the mind is begin to develop in quite a strong level. But you cannot keep on pushing and pushing until everything becomes too much. Just like when you are doing a cooking, you cannot keep on turning the fire bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and all become charcoal. You cannot. You have to be controlled. Yeah. You put a little bit of salt in their food, it's balanced, but you cannot put more and more. Yeah. You cannot putting more and more. You must know it's enough. What is enough? So too, meditation also is like that. You must know what is enough. Yeah? And what is little and what is too much. Here, it's where, again here, it's where the practice goes into a more refined way of doing the practice. You cannot see from outside. People cannot look at you. We do not know whether you are a good yogi or bad yogi or whatever yogi. Don't see that one yogi sitting like sengye all the way, the body like want to touch the floor. I think that the yogi is lazy yogi. But is that one maybe enlightened yogi? You also do not know. Outside there, people cannot see what you are going through. This only finally is inside only. Yeah? So this balancing of the qualities of the mind, it's all internal. Yeah? Uh, as I said, a lot of times yogis tend to be too concerned how they sit so straight, how they sit so well, how their leg can put up like like a full lotus, Haolian. Yeah, you can talk and talk and talk and talk about all this posture and all this thing, and they talk about power, this, power, that. But we don't realize that the faculties, all these faculties, when it's developed, then those are the real proper spiritual growth. It's not how much special power you all have. Even after meditating here, let's say somehow or another you can see your past life, let's say. Yeah, it's good, it's good. But that is only worldly thing only, worldly power. But if you over attach to those things, habis liao. Then your vipassana you don't want to do already. What you want is all this power. People come and consult you. Bhante, Bhante, can you see my past life or not? Bhante, Bhante, now my uh, mother passed away already. Where she reborn now? All this thing, yeah, all this type of thing. anyway, when it comes to this balancing of this thing, as I said, you need to know its finer qualities of the meditation. We talk about the over effort at one time when we talk about the faculties of effort. No, we talk about the enlightenment factor of effort. so on Tuesday we were talking about also to understand the balancing of faculties. You also need to know when the mind, when the noting mind becomes over concentration. When you say over concentration, usually it's about a little bit over, and we want to bring you down to balance already. If it's too much over, that means you go until a lot of tension that's going on with the head one, then a bit difficult to overcome, a bit difficult to this one. So it's good that we know that it's just gone a little bit more that we bring it down here. Yeah. But nevertheless, once in a while when we do this retreat again and again intensively for 3 months like that, once in a while it overshoots. No matter how you try, also once in a while it overshoots also. Yeah? If you really try hard one, sometimes it overshoots also. So that also we need to learn to break it down also. What is important is that you don't lose hope. Everything can be rectified, and this one. If you know the method, if you know the skills to just bring it down to balance. I've seen in the past, there are yogis when it becomes too much, the over concentration becomes too much. Nobody to guide them how to reduce the whole thing. And with that, because of the habit of the mind has developed into such a way, every time that you sit, the mind already focus already. Straight away, sit down, the mind already zoom into everything tiny. Sit down, zoom into everything tiny. And even sometimes when you know that there is something wrong, but you just cannot pull out, just keep it pushing it until everything tiny, and then over time, body stress, tension, body comes out. The more that you meditate, the more tension it becomes. Until one day, you cannot take it, then you have to go and look for a doctor already in order to release all this tension. And that is too much already. And I've seen yogis like that. Then after that, what they do? They completely give up on meditation. No, they give up. They don't give up on meditation, but they give up on intensive meditation. No more intensive. Betahan. Stress. So much stress. And sometimes they give up on completely noting, just now. Other words, when they go into their own meditation, everything is more like relaxed type of meditation. Easy, calm, peaceful. Many times I say, sit down there, drink coffee, watch the birds fly. Are you in the present? Yes, I'm in the present. And then just relax, go for a walk in the park like that. 搞了 meditation 了 like that. Yeah, I can understand that because of the past experience. Yeah? So we do not want you to go until that far until you cannot pull back anymore and finally you give up on it. This type of intensive meditation, yes, it has the potential to bring you right there. If you do not know how to pull the handbrake, then reverse back to the optimum level. So it's important that we know. Yeah? So that day I mentioned, sometimes when we over concentration, usually we have to notice how we pay attention to an object. Sometimes when you note an object, the mind tends to like narrow down to an object. When it narrows down the object, everything becomes small. Small already, then sometimes a yogi still tend to hold on to it. It doesn't look for other prominent objects. Because sometimes, for example, like when they do this Mahasi method, they thought that only the rising and falling will give rise to insight. Other object will not give rise to insight. All pain and all other sensation will not give rise to insight. Then they only want the rising and falling. So when they only want rising and falling, sometimes the object becomes so small, so they narrow it down and then they look through this tiny little hole on the whole rising and falling. Even if just go a little bit and you just stay there. So if with that condition that you are going through, so you make sure that the mind, you push it out to the next other object, other prominent objects. So this is one thing. Yeah? Another thing I mentioned also that I mentioned during in the sitting or also during in the walking too. Walking also, although walking, not usually the concentration may not be so strong, but once in a while it can come up also. Usually not as not that frequent, not that frequent. But it still come. During the walking, sometimes some yogis also again here, when they pay attention to the object for too long on the, sometimes on the lifting, pushing, dropping, and you're trying to look for a very detailed object in the lifting, pushing, dropping. For example, a very tiny little sensation there, you try to zoom it in very tightly there. Then, because it happens again in the next step, then you try to zoom in again, or sometimes you stay there and try to zoom in for even longer period of time. So when it happens too strongly and too narrow, sometimes again here the minds become quite blurred. Once in a while also, if the over concentration starts to come in due to maybe not necessarily just looking at small detailed things, even just lifting, pushing, dropping, and just continue on lifting, pushing, dropping, and your mind is not going anywhere. And here over time, it also builds up, for some people, certain concentration builds up also. And when it builds up, sometimes some yogis feel that like when you walk, and you step down, as if like the whole ground opened up. Yeah, the whole ground open up, and you actually you're not going anywhere, but you feel like your leg is sunken into a very deep hole like that. Sometimes it's just a small little hole, sometimes a bigger hole. And all these things is just because of feelings and concept. Yeah. Uh, it shows that this is not a problem. It's just that a bit of over concentration is there. Yeah. Uh, so how do you overcome this type of things? When it's just a little bit over concentration, and you feel that these things are coming in, then all you need to do is either you go a little bit slower. Sometimes a bit slower, it helps because the effort starts coming in. Uh, if it all the sunken feeling doesn't feel so terrible already, then okay. Then you just carry on. Uh, if cannot, then stand for a while. If not, then go faster a little bit. So sometimes you have to do trial and error here and there. Sometimes some yogis, they feel due to the nature of concentration also, and also the mindfulness. When they step down, as if like it's an earthquake like that. This is not sunken feeling, but it's like earthquake, shaking. Whoa. But when they look their leg, not moving at all. But when they feel it, whoa. Again here, not only the mindfulness, but this and also it's a bit of over concentration. Yeah. So with that, if it become too much until the whole body becomes not stable, the posture of the body is not stable, that means that shows that a bit of over concentration is coming in. So when this over concentration coming in, as I said, sometimes you have to go slightly slower, see whether all things become normal again, clear again, optimum again, or you go a bit faster, reduce everything, then after that, only you go slow again. Or you change to a secondary object. Take note of a secondary object. A wider object will be good. And also, yes, that day also, as I mentioned, when it begins to narrow down, also that time we must learn to look for a wider object, like a sit in the sitting. Look for a whole body sitting. You don't have to push it, but just bring the mindfulness back. It's easier to overcome the over concentration. All we need to do is bring it back to balance again with mindfulness. So too, sometimes like when you're sitting, also I mentioned that you sit down, then you get shocked. A little bit of sound that you come in, then the whole body gets shocked. Now that is also one thing that you take note of. If you shocked a few times, just because a small sound you get shocked, then you get jerked up, then all you need to do is just be mindful, just be aware of the whole body again, just come back or run the mind to other object, then fine. Sometimes you thought that you are doing rising, falling quite clearly, or you're doing everything quite clearly, but you don't realize that the mind is actually at that time is narrowing down already. So this type of sound, a little bit of sound, is an indicator that the mind is already too much already, slightly too much already. They're noting the concentration slightly too much. As I said, when the mind is in balance, this type of sound doesn't shock you unless it's super loud, outside there like a bomb going off, maybe, but sometimes small little sound doesn't affect you at all. You're aware of it, then it goes on. What happens is that sometimes when the concentration gets stronger, when it gets stronger, another thing is that the mind also become not flexible enough. Like it's stiffer inside there. It's stiff. Stiff in the sense that it holds on to some object. When sound comes in, a white sound comes in, it shocks you from it like like, like a tape, you stick it onto your skin, then after that, shock. Uh, something like that. Something to shock you up. Another thing is this: when over concentration over a period of time, sometimes all these little signs are more like internally. For example, like you note rising, falling, let's say. You take note of rising and falling. After you watch it, after a while, like you want to push the mind to another object. Although the other object is more prominent right now, you want to push the mind to another object, but the mind doesn't want to go. The noting mind doesn't want to go there. It just want to stay with the rising and falling only. Although another object is there. You know that you're supposed to go to the next object, but it's kind of like locked into a single object only. That also, its over concentration is building up. So when over concentration building up, and this is where you have to learn to, again here, as I said, take a wider object. Force the mind to take a wider object. Take note of the whole body. Now, for example, take note of secondary object, especially like during in the walking. Get out of that object and go with another object. Sometimes when you just go with another object, when the mind becomes flexible again, the mind becomes active again, not passive into a single object. When it becomes, active again, then the mind becomes back into balance again. So it's a very small little adjustment inside there. Nobody knows what you're doing except you yourself. Outside there, nobody can see what is going on. So these are some of the things that a yogi should take note of. Now, the yogi also should take note of that when we go into a long retreat, all this type of stress will come up. Bodily stress, I mean. Bodily stress will come up. Now, the bodily stress that comes up, tension, pressure, and so on, this is coming up as a physical discomfort already, physical pain already, But of course, due to fatigue also, due to tiredness also, this type of stress and pressure and tightness also can come in. That one, all you need to do is rest, and then the next morning, kautim already, everything work. But what if it comes with over concentration or over effort, that one can be quite difficult to overcome. Other words, you have to live with the tension and you have to live with the pressure. It's not going to go away very soon. You see, sometimes when the yogi gets into meditating, and then over some time, all this tension comes up. And when this tension comes up, for some yogis, they call it, Reverend Sujiva calls it stone in the head syndrome. meditate here. Very painful, stone in the head syndrome. Some yogis experience the stress like head area, neck area, or shoulders area, back area. And all this type of tension, it's kind of unusual. It's not the normal type, like it comes with stress, it comes with tiredness. So how are you going to differentiate this thing? Body already stressed already, it comes with tiredness or it comes with this one? How are you going to know? Again, this one, it's only in a long retreat that you learn to feel it, that you know that this type of stress is very unusual. This type of pressure in the head is very unusual. So other words, sometimes maybe due to the imbalance somewhere that happens already. Sometimes in our this retreat that we are going on right now, sometimes just for a one sitting, just enough for you to make your whole balance gone. Like you push it in too much into one retreat, then it builds up. It's kind of like a stress there. Even after that, you can able to note. Let's say like you can able to reduce the over concentration and make everything balance again. Even you sit down after that, or you walk, everything is clear to you. Rising, falling, things become flexible. But the stress doesn't go away yet. The stress is going to stay there for a while. Doesn't mean that everything balanced. Stress also gone now. Not like that. Not like that. Bodily pain stays longer, much longer. You can rebalance the whole mind, but otherwise the stress or the pressure, they stays quite long. That's why, as I said, even the yogis stop meditating, the tension is still there. Even they stop meditating, let's say they go back, the stress is still there. It's strong, they are strong. What more when you are in the retreat time? So a lot of times, even you can balance it. In other words, you have to learn to live with the tension and learn to live with the pressure and so on. And again, this one you have to keep it balanced until the whole stress over some days, and then start slowly reduce, and everything goes soon again. So it's a lot of challenges for some yogis. For some yogis, you may not able to see it. You don't see it that much. For some yogis, yes. For me, yes. In the past, yes. That's why I know a lot of all this type of thing. Personal experience. Kena here, left and right already. Now, another reason that yogis goes into all this type of stress, imbalance, and so on, is because that one of the biggest reason that I notice of over time when I go for different places, when I do, when I'm teaching retreat, but when I say yogi, just follow, just see what people do, meditate with others, just like you all here. What happened to yogis is that when they get all this type of stress, one is that they don't care about 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit. They don't care about that thing. In the general sense, this 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit is to help you to balance. Not only just the mind, but also the body also, to relieve the stress and everything. The 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit thing, although we find it that some yogis, especially when they meditate some time, then they have some progress already. And they have some progress. They thought that at the end of the hour, sui lama, what for I get up and do walking meditation? Continue lah. Then they continue because still clear. So they continue. Wow, then they get up. Wow, I feel good. Wow, I can sit 1.5 hours. Wow. All right. Then they go for walking. But walking is only half an hour only. Never mind lah. Walk half an hour, then quickly go and sit 1.5 hours again. So they quickly go and sit again. Because time to sit, and also just now got progress. Maybe we can carry the progress to the next one. Maybe, good run already, don't stop it. What for, Then they do like that. So sometimes within sitting, they don't see the imbalance coming in. But right there, they already pressured it there already. They keep on noting because they feel progress is there. Pain come in, especially the pain. Note until the pain go and disappear. Then okay, then you come out. But while you're noting the pain, a lot of effort and concentration is being put into it. That means you keep on putting the fire and you keep on char kway teow inside there. More and more fire there. Then you don't realize it. You feel that it's good. You can sit 1.5 hours. Then half an hour walk will do. And then quickly go and sit again. Sit again. Then you thought that, oh, still can good. Okay, not some more. Not. Then after that, after one or two or three more sittings, they do like that. A whole day they do like that. The next day or the day after, oh, they get all the stress. Then how come? How come? What did I do? I was just meditating only. Things are going well. How come all the pressure and all the stress come in? Sometimes when you fall, you knock yours. This one, the bruise don't come in the next day. Sometimes blue black come in the third day. Sometimes they come in a bit longer. Then only you see it. Sometimes I go for a walk, I come back. The knees doesn't feel any pain, still good. The next day also don't feel it. But the following day, oh, how do I see it? I mean, other days you don't walk anymore, like the rest of So something like that, the stress in the vipassana also, all this type of stress, it comes in. It comes in sometimes after 1 or 2 or 3 days later. And when it comes in, it's going to last there for a number of days. Because due to the nature of you keep on pushing and pushing and pushing on the sitting without trying to balance it with the walking. So the walking and sitting, actually, they themselves in a wider context, they are very helpful to a yogi, especially when we are doing this type of intensive meditation. When you whole day, you need to be mindful. Your whole day, you need to be alert. Then it's like that. So you got to, it helps you to relieve certain tension, relieve the pressure that building up through the walking. Then sit down again, builds up some tension again. 1 hour later, release of this one. Normally, I find it yogis, after some time they're in the retreat. You got like 7 sittings per day. Let's say there's no Dhamma talk. You got 7 sittings per day. 7 sittings per day. Some days when there's a good run, maybe it will be like 5 sitting is good. Sometimes 6 sitting, or sometimes 7 sitting is good, clear. Some days only just 1 or 2 sitting is good. Now, other than that is struggling like crazy. Sleepiness, drowsiness. So 1 or 2 sitting. Sometimes you get more this one. The more, you see, if you have like 3 sittings good per day, it's like 3 hours of good sitting per day. And that means you are very clear of what is going on. Perhaps within a sitting, 80% or 90% of your mind is truly alert. 10% maybe it goes into thinking or a little bit of drowsiness. That. So 90% of that 1 hour, the mind is good. So more or less like you have 3 hours of good sitting. But 3 hours of good sitting, I find it that for yogis, their progress is better than if you have a sitting for 3 hours. You see what I mean? If you sit one sitting for 3 hours and comparatively 3 hours of each, or 1 hour of sitting each for 3 times, then normally I find it that 1 hour each has better progress than a yogi that has 3 hours in one go. The nature of the mind is sharper, this one is sharper. Not to say that every yogi cannot do 3 hours, not to say everybody, but most yogi cannot do that. Most yogi. If they can able to sit for 3 hours, let's say, I tell you what happened inside there. Maybe the first hour, first 1.5 hours, things are clear. Then after that, energy is not able to maintain inside that second hour during a 3-hour sitting. You cannot able to maintain the energy. So when the energy is not able to maintain there, mindfulness also not able to be there, then sometimes the concentration starts to increase. When it starts to increase, then object starts to clear. When it starts to not so clear, then it's getting down. And then you sit there for the next 1.5 hours, just sit there, nothing much. Or objects become very small. You get up after the 3 hours, you feel good because you can sit 3 hours. But the quality of the sitting is not much there. So the quality of sitting is where how much you're able to note all your objects clearly, precisely, without going into a lot of all these imbalances. So most yogi can able to take 1 hour after some time into the retreat. But if you are a beginner, of course, it's still a struggle, even 1 hour. But after some time in the retreat, you can actually take it. So we take it at 1 hour, then finish this thing, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk. And then we find that the progress for yogis much better. Now, this one we are talking about when you are in the retreat. When you are out there, that means when you are not in the retreat, if you that day, let's say you are free, you got 3 hours, you want to sit, then by all means, you can do that. If you want to, you can do that, no problem. Because after you get up from the sitting, what do? You go and look for makan. You go and look for this one. Tomorrow you got some other works to do and so on. You're not truly in the sense that you are continuous meditation. Continuous meditation is different. Continuous in the continuous retreat, like what we are doing here, that everything is like, you just drop a little bit only, and then after sitting, you push it up again, very fast. A lot of you able to sit down, rising, falling is already there already. You don't have to go and wait for where's the rising and falling. Where? You sit down already there, that means the faculties are already in the tip-top condition already right now. That means when it's there, that means you learn to maintain it as best as we can. If it's not there at all, that means there's something wrong already. But mind is blurred. Or mindfulness is not strong enough. So, in other words, when you sit down, when objects are already clear to you, either pain or rising, falling, everything is clear to you, that means the mind is more or less in a tip-top condition already. So that is good. So you don't go and kacau it. You don't go and disturb it with too long a sitting. So when at home you want to do that, then fine. Because at home, sometimes after half an hour or 45 minutes later, then only the mind starts to pick up. And then to pick up, you want to go a little bit longer, no problem. It's perfectly all right, but not in a retreat. So if you're in a retreat, you can sit. If at home, you can sit long, 2 hours or so. But in the retreat, it's good that just to sit 1 hour, enough. Enough. It's not the quality of it's not how long the time. It's the quality of your noting. Quality of the time, yes, we need certain time also. But if once in a while, if you happen to sit a bit longer, once a while, and then it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But don't go and intentionally, every sitting, you want to push it to 1.5, 2 hours, every sitting. And then sooner or later, within few days, you're going to have a headache already. Unless we go back. Unless this is the last day or the second last day, or last 3 days, you sekali want to push one, because after 3 days later, no more sitting already. And then that time, you can do that. Not a problem. Because when the headache comes in, you already stop meditation already. Here, when the headache comes in, you still got 1 more month to go, So that one, you got to be careful. So even that 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit is already help us to learn to this one. And again here, those places that do this 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit, I've seen yogis progress better. I've seen places where vipassana meditation, where you don't have all this schedule, you meditate as you like, you walk as you like, you sit as you like whenever you want. They don't have schedule for you. So when the yogis go that way, as long as you don't disturb others, you can meditate in your kuti also can. You can meditate in the hall also can. Although they encourage you meditate in the hall, Now even with that, that when you don't have all this schedule, that in the long term, the tendency of the yogi begins to slacken. It begins to slacken. Slacken in the sense that, otherwise, laziness starts to come in, or you start to do other things except meditation. Do other things except meditation. In other words, all this starts to diminish already. I've seen these type of things before, because I've seen, like, when they don't do all these type of things, the yogi tend to, like if you have a garden, they still can plant some plants, put some flowers there. I've seen yogis, which is a nun, staying not too far from my kuti only. Then don't want to meditate already. Don't, after that, go and plant all the flower around the kuti. In Gavesi, nothing to do. You know how much time you don't want to do the gardening. For you all love the gardening, you spend quite a lot of time. You spend there, go and cut flower. We're supposed to meditate. I've seen these things before. When this one. So when you lack of this one schedule, then it becomes like that. So it's better to always have the schedule. So even next time you go to places to do retreats, it's always good to have a schedule for yourself. Even the whole center doesn't have it. So you have a schedule for yourself. Go adapt to their whatever they're doing, and then after that you must have a schedule. Then you commit yourself into that schedule to walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit. Then only the mindfulness comes up, balancing of the mind comes up for the long-term period. That is how it's good to do like that. Discipline, a proper discipline. So a yogi try to do that. So all we need to do is that make sure that we do the walking, sitting properly, go with the schedule. Other words, also during that time means walking time you walk, sitting time you sit, especially in the afternoon. Afternoon you have a long stretch. This type of long stretch one is always good, that you don't go in the middle, suka you go and drink a cup of tea suka take a shower suka you feel hot, uncomfortable, take a shower. No, all these things don't. All these things we stick it to shower time, only we go shower time. Drinking time, only we go drinking time. I mean, make a beverage, unless this is a water and just a little bit, then it's okay. Discipline, because we want to keep the continuity of this one, and to keep the balance there. Sometimes some yogis feel good only, in the meditation, good only. Okay, I give myself a break. Just go and make a cup of tea, could compliment myself. Good job done. No, you have to carry on that mindfulness. You have to carry on, you make it continuous. Because if you make it continuous, sometimes even the next sitting or walking, things become even more clearer. So something like that. So you try to keep the balance as best as you can. Okay. So, all right, we'll stop here for tonight. Then we'll continue on a little bit on tomorrow. So before we go, for those people online, I'll share something with all of you. Okay. The Katina here, uh, Katina here in the Santi Sukarama will be on the 30th of October. We do not have the full schedule yet. We do not have the full schedule here yet. It's only roughly, I think, like it starts at 8 a.m. Yeah? So if any of you want to inquire more about the katina or the trace or whatever, donation or whatever, you just contact Sister Sam. Yeah? And her contact number is here. And also the bank account also is also there too. Yeah? So we check with Sister Sam for all this one. So later when we have more of I have more of this one, we will put it up in the Facebook also. Yeah? So this poster will later on we'll put it up in the Facebook. Yeah? For you to get more information or whatever. All right. So okay. So let me stop the sharing. Okay, now we share merits. Idang may bawa ng nibbana sa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of nibbana. Imang no punya bagang sapa satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sape satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.